Okay, back on the Rich Van Tassel channel, Monday, May 16th, 2016. Right now we are discussing Nate McMillan being promoted. He was already an assistant on the Indiana Pacers staff. He is now promoted to head coach of the Pacers team after they let go of Frank Vogel last week. Now, with this one, this is a really interesting hire. Larry Bird has discussed he wants the team to become more offensive minded. He didn't feel they were getting that with Frank Vogel, obviously. So they're promoting Nate McMillan. McMillan has been relatively successful in the NBA. He is above 500 as a head coach. 478 and 452. That's a 514 winning percentage in his career. He was in the Northwest both of those times with the Seattle Supersonics at first, then the Portland Trailblazers. His best run, probably, you would have to say, was in 2004, 2005. He took that Sonic team to 52 and 30 through the regular season and then into the Western Conference semifinals. That's the only time he's been past the first round. In Portland, he made the playoffs 3 times and lost in the first round all those times. His most wins was in 2008, 2009. The team won 54 games. He has coached 12 seasons and he's missed the playoffs 6 of those seasons, so he's 50-50 going to the playoffs. Lost in the first round 5 out of the 6 times he's gone to the playoffs. Now you look at it, Frank Vogel was a guy who went to 2 conference finals, got out of the first round a few times, and the only time he ever missed the playoffs was this season before this one when they didn't have Paul George for essentially the whole season, their best player, and still had that team, though below 500 with a chance to make the playoffs on the final day of the season. So this is a lateral move at best as far as how far you expect the guys to take them and, career successes. Obviously, it's not lateral in the fact that Frank Vogel is more of a defensive-minded coach as opposed to Nate McMillan. But I'm a little surprised they're going this route because Nate McMillan has not shown really any propensity to take a team deep into the playoffs, and that's what I think Indiana expects to do. Now, obviously, this isn't the same team it was 3-4 years ago that was on the verge of playing for the finals. They lost a lot of those guys, Roy Hibbert, David West, Danny Granger. They're all off the team now. So, it's Lance Stevenson as well is not on the team. So, obviously, you can't have the same expectations as you did then. This was still a team that won 45 games this year. I know they were the 7th seed, but the East was a bit stronger at the bottom of the playoff rung than it has been in the past. Won 45 games, took Toronto to Game 7, and Paul George was spectacular. Now, are they going to keep Paul George? There's questions about that. That remains to be seen. I know teams would obviously want Paul George, who wouldn't, but you don't know. A player like that, you just can never expect to be traded. No team would, willingly let that guy walk out the door, and at least not for a hefty ransom. So we'll see how they move forward from here and what they're going to do offensively. But again, Frank Vogel was fired, a guy who had much more success, I believe, in his time than Nate McMillan did in a smaller sample as well, and certainly had done more in the playoffs, as we discussed, taking 2 teams to the conference finals twice. Nate McMillan only out of the first round once. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops moving into next season, and that's certainly something we're going to have to keep our eyes on moving forward. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, come back, give you the preview of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, as that starts tomorrow night. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much.